Please note this video was filmed during the COVID-19 pandemic. For the latest maternity service advice and information about COVID-19, please visit our dedicated site at www.mtw.nhs.uk/COVID-19 maternity information. Here at Maidstone and Tunbridge Wells Trust, we have 4 options of where you can have your baby. You can have your baby at home or at one of our 3 sites, Crowborough Birth Centre, Maidstone Birth Centre or the delivery suite at Tunbridge Wells. Please speak to your community midwife and see our website for more details about all of your options. Labour is a very unique experience and it will start differently for everybody. One of our community midwives, Grenier Rose, will now tell you a little bit about what happens as your body is preparing itself to go into labour.
The latent phase is the getting ready phase, and it can take time. It can take a day, 2 days, maybe even 3 days. And it's a process by which your cervix or the neck of the womb has got to get ready before it can open. In this diagram you can see a term uterus, baby is head down, this is the cervix or the neck of the womb, and in the cervix is a plug of mucus called the show. So this is a knitted uterus and this is the cervix. And before the labour process, the cervix is about 3 centimetres long, hard, closed and way at the back. And during the getting ready phase, the cervix has got to come forward, soften and be taken up. And it's very similar to the process where you put on a polar neck jumper. And to start with, as you're putting the jumper on, the neck of the jumper is up here. As you pull the jumper on, the neck of the jumper is taken up into the jumper. So eventually you're left with no neck and a hole of 3 to 4 centimetres. And that's exactly what your cervix has got to do in the getting ready phase. And as I say, this process can take 12, 24, 48 hours. In order for this process to work, your body needs to be having tightenings and warm-ups and later contractions. And they can stop and they can start, they can stop and they can start. And because this process can take such a long time, it's really important that you stay at home, you get some food, you get as much rest as you can, and you allow your body to just do its thing. As these contractions warm up and get more powerful, then they are doing more. And each and every one is worthwhile. It's working on your uterus and on your cervix. And it's gradually and very slowly taking up the cervix until eventually all that neck has gone and there's a hole of 3 to 4 centimetres. And it's only at this point that you're at the beginning of labour. All of that is the getting ready phase.
There are several signs that labour might be starting. Firstly, you may experience contractions or tightenings or surges. These are like period pains in your abdomen. Some people feel them in the very front, low down, or sometimes in the back. With this backache, you may also feel an urge to go to the toilet, and this is often where baby's coming quite low down and pressing on your bowel. Your waters may also break, and we'll go into a bit more detail about this later on. You may also experience a show, and Grenier is going to explain exactly what that is.
The show is the plug of mucus that's in the cervix or the neck of the womb, and it can come away any time. The show can either be clear or pink or brown, but the most significant part of the show is the consistency of it. It's sticky or tacky. It's like wallpaper paste or snot. If you have a show, it means that your baby will probably arrive sometime in the next 2 weeks. You don't need to ring anyone about that show.
There's always a midwife available to talk to at any time, day or night, if you have any concerns or queries about your labour. Firstly, we would recommend calling us if your baby's movements are reduced or if their normal pattern of movement has changed. We'd also recommend calling us if you experience any heavy vaginal bleeding, so not like a show, but more like a period. Also, please give us a call if you're experiencing intense contractions that are coming more regularly and frequently. Finally, please call us if you think your waters break. This experience is different for everybody. Some experience a big gush of waters, some will get more of a slow trickle. The important thing to remember is your waters will continue to leak right up until your baby is born. We're going to go back to Grenier and she's going to explain a little bit more about what to look out for when your waters break.
We expect the fluid to be clear, however it may well be green. Sometimes the water is green because the baby has passed meconium inside you, and meconium is the baby's first poo. Babies pass meconium for two reasons. One is that they're overdue and they think they're out, so they have a poo, and the other reason is that the baby has an element of stress at some point during the pregnancy. So if your waters go, whether it's clear or green, ring up the birth centre or triage and talk to the midwife, and she'll ask you to come in.
Please remember that the points that we've mentioned are by no means exhaustive. Please call us at any time if you have any questions or worries or concerns. We're always here to help you and talk to you. Between you and your midwife on the phone, you'll decide when will be the best time for you to have a face-to-face assessment with a midwife to see how your labour's progressing. So we're now going to talk a little bit about how that first assessment with the midwife looks when you're in labour. If you're planning a home birth, this will be in your own home with the community midwife. If you're planning on having your baby at one of our birth centres, you'll be greeted at the door by one of our midwives and brought into one of our labour rooms. If you're planning on having your baby at Tunbridge Wells, this will be in maternity triage, and this is on the second floor of the green zone. When you're settled in a room with your midwife, they will have a chat with you about what's been happening so far. So they'll ask you about the length and strength of your contractions. They'll ask you about any vaginal loss that you've had, either a show or bleeding, or if your waters are broken. They'll ask you how your baby's movements have been, particularly over the last 24 hours. They'll talk to you a little bit about your birth plan and your birth preferences, and they'll do some basic observations like your blood pressure, your pulse and your temperature. They'll have a feel of your tummy and see which position baby's in and have a listen to their heartbeat. This will either be with a sonic aid or on one of our CTG monitors. And they'll just generally ask how you are and how you're doing. The midwife at this point may also offer you a vaginal examination to see if there have been any changes to your cervix. The midwife will explain the reasons behind all of the checks that they're offering, and if at any point you don't feel comfortable with it or you don't want to have the check, then please just say. If your labour is still in the early stages, then the midwife may suggest going home for a little bit, just to await events and let things progress naturally by themselves. Evidence suggests that labour will progress better in an environment where you feel comfortable, and for most people this will be your home. However, if you don't feel comfortable returning home and you'd much rather stay on one of our birth centres or in the hospital, then please do say it's absolutely fine. We'll accommodate you where we can. When you feel like your labour has established and your midwife has invited you in to see us at one of our birth centres or at Tunbridge Wells Hospital, please remember to bring with you your hospital notes, a car seat to take baby home in, and your hospital bag. If you have harvested some colostrum during your pregnancy, then please bring that in with you and we can keep it safe until you need it. We have an award-winning video about how to harvest colostrum, which can be found on our website. We also have a handy section on our website that gives you some advice on what to pack in your hospital bag. If you have written down some ideas and preferences for your birth, then please bring them along with you too so we can discuss them with you. It would be a good idea to plan your journey and mode of transport well in advance before the big day so you feel comfortable and confident in your route. Unless it is an emergency and your midwife has recommended it, please do not call an ambulance to bring you into hospital. If there's anything in this video that you would like to discuss, then please contact your midwife.